Hey Narwhals, I'm your host Luke Narwhal, and welcome back to another weight loss video. Hope you enjoy. Older women in my family sabotaging me. I lost about 25 kilos since mid-2019 and reached my initial goal weight in summer 2020. I started somewhere about 100 kilos pre-obesity and am 72 now. I did and still do 16-8 intermittent fasting with sloppy calorie counting. My same age peers are usually reluctant to bring my weight loss up at all. They mostly only talk about it when I prompt the conversation, and then they usually just ask about my routine, admire my persistence, and congratulate me on my success. My mom used to fat shame me a lot growing up. Even when I was a kid, she liked to bring up my weight gain at family functions when she felt like I ate too much. She had some favorite talking points like, "I am taller than you, but you're heavier than me. Something's off, don't you think?" She liked to make these hurtful comments about my body constantly, even interrupting me mid-sentence to point at my stretch marks or tummy fat. But she also expected me to participate in family meals and would sabotage the dieting efforts I made. I was never safe. I also have a very complicated relationship with my mother-in-law, but she never said anything about my body or my weight. In fact, she comforted me when I opened up about the way my mom treats me at home and expressed sympathy. Now, when I finally moved out, it took a few years for me to realize that my weight was now in my hands and my hands alone. My past futile dieting efforts told me that short-term action wouldn't cut it, and that I needed to make a permanent change of routines. So, I adopted 16-8 intermittent fasting with the intention to stick with it and establish a consistent calorie deficit, and that worked. Both my mom and mother-in-law were impressed when I started looking visibly slimmer. Both started doing intermittent fasting for themselves, very sloppily and not successfully. My mom proudly started to show around pictures of my progress to her friends and coworkers, which I found a little weird. The constant fat shaming turned into praise for every picture I sent her. This all happened while I was still visibly overweight and far from skinny. Then I fell below my mother's weight. I sent her a picture of the 77 on the scale. She wrote verbatim, "Hey, this is my comfort weight too." Not true, she constantly tries to achieve 72 kilos, and right afterwards, "You can stop there." Of course, I didn't, because my goal was to be around 70. I started to notice that she tried to undermine my routines when she visited, offer me food she knew I liked for breakfast, and were bringing out snacks on the couch when I was past my eating window. Now that I'm around 72 kilos, she constantly waits for signs of me relapsing. She interprets every slight indulgence I give myself as me becoming more lenient now. Once, when I sat down next to her and the skirt I wore bulged out around my stomach, she pointed at it and cheerily exclaimed, "Hey, you're growing a tummy again." When I looked at her confused and pressed the skirt flat against my actual stomach, she played it off as a joke. Me reaching the mid-70s was also around that time when my mother-in-law first suggested that I had lost enough and should consider stopping. Note how she doesn't say maintaining. She insinuated that my face had become hollow. She only knew me visibly overweight with round, chubby cheeks, so I gave her a pass at first. When I actually told her my weight, she was shocked and exclaimed, "That's less than me, and I'm shorter than you." No crap, she's overweight as well. Now she apparently has decided that she has to prevent me from getting too skinny, and even though I have not had a significant drop in weight since last summer, she brings it up every time, and even try to rope my significant other into it, who remains supportive of my dieting decisions at all times. Even at my most overweight times, I've never experienced someone outside of my family being this nosy about my weight. I now have a running joke with my boyfriend that every time my mother-in-law comments about my weight, I will lower my goal weight by 0.5 kilos. I like to joke about it, but honestly, it's just annoying and honestly embarrassing. I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences. My mom is weird. You could do with losing some weight, as she leaves several chocolate share-sized bags in my room when I come to visit. "Do you want seconds? You need to have another helping. There's so much food. Here, I bought this chocolate cake for you to take home. Have you gained more weight?" And then, when I lost all the weight, "Don't lose any more. You're getting too thin." Yup, it is like if they can't make you feel bad for being overweight, they will insist that you are underweight. Growing up, my mom was and still is an amazing cook, and her love language, feeding everyone to the point of a food coma. She even makes extra stuff for me to take home because she knows I like it. And as she comes from a poor family, it is an absolute sin to waste food. I think it's time to stop talking weight and food with parents and in-laws. Just quietly put them on an information diet with the line, "My coach says it's best to take the focus off the diet talk," which is true. Me, your coach says that. If you're in your 30s or older, it can help to understand that for women of the previous and older generation, they were raised to believe that children were a kind of possession and accomplishment, especially girl children. If they turn out beautiful, successful, rich, educated, well-married, etc., that means they did a good job. So when you lose weight and approach more conventional good looks, that's a reflected success for mom. These women were taught that looking good to get a man for literally being able to eat and have a roof over their head is the only thing that matters. So unfortunately, they want you to be pretty, slender, and beautiful, but also to see all women, including taken family members, to be competition. Because what if daddy, her husband, starts doting on you now that you look great and takes valuable resources, attention, affection, time, money, and approval off her and onto you, or expects her to start looking better too? Just tell yourself mentally, it must be exhausting to be her, and it is. The well-adjusted adult in me says to say, listen, my body is none of your business, and if you can't respect that boundary, we need to take a break from contact until you can. The petty bit in me says to literally pick at every flaw they have, and when you can't find a flaw, make one up. And if they say it hurts their feelings, tell them that is how you feel when they discuss your body. Envy is a bit. Call them out on it point blank. It might make them mad, but it will shut them up. I'd phrase it as them not just being non-supportive of your weight goals, but also trying to sabotage your goals after all your hard work. If they offer you food outside of your intermittent fasting, ask them if they are trying to sabotage you, or did they just forget? If they offer you food that is too calorie dense, tell them no for exactly that reason. They will keep doing this until you put your foot down. Not offering advice, but I can totally relate. I have an additional problem. When people say these kinds of things to me often enough, I found myself sometimes following what they say, unconsciously, obviously. It makes me angry that instead of working on themselves, people would rather tear another person down just because they can bring themselves up. I've now spotted these kinds of people and just lied to them straight up about my progress. If they suggest I stop now, I tell them that I have. The less they know, the better for me. I don't need their personal issues dragged into my business, pull me down. Also, congrats on your progress. And don't let your mom and mother-in-law get to you. I think they got used to being able to feel better about themselves at your expense. They felt superior, and now that's being challenged. When they used to criticize you for your weight, it wasn't actually discomfort about your weight. It was reassurance for themselves, and now they're showing their real feelings. It's somewhat common to have people in your close circle who get threatened when people succeed. Your success has nothing to do with their opinions or words. You're doing great. There's another perspective which is less malignant. They've seen you as well fat for a long time, and now you're around their weight, which they consider normal and fine, even if it is a bit fluffy. You did the hard job and lost the weight. They're waiting for you to reward yourself with food because that's what they would do. They might even worry if your BMI was around 20 because it looks very different from what they're used to. It's true, you have done a really good job of getting healthy. Honestly, I don't have anything useful to say about maintaining, but it probably doesn't look like what your mom is thinking. There's a reason she keeps feeling at losing the weight she wants to lose. Keep up the good work. In my personal experience, and I'm sure a lot of other people's experiences, you will never be able to keep everyone happy all the time. I have dealt with something similar since I was 12 from my stepdad and my grandmother. They would constantly tell me I am too chubby, and even gave me the nickname Hoover because I would vacuum up my food according to them. Eventually, I started eating less, and then I completely stopped eating anything except protein shakes and got skinny, and then they would say I looked like a scarecrow, and I need to put on some meat on my bones. My point is that there's just no pleasing others all the time. We are all flawed humans. I'm just glad that your SO is supportive of you. You don't need to make anyone else but yourself happy. And that brings us to the end of the video, Narwhals. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please tap subscribe to join our awesome community, the Narwhals, and for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track. And here's our featured Narwhal of the day. Starting weight 199 pounds, current weight 130. It was hard, but so worth the journey.